How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video. This is going to be my week two recap video where I'm going to go through all the week two games that took place this past week and break them down, talk about my key takeaways, all that good stuff. So I'll just dive straight in here. Okay, so the first game was the Thursday night game last week, Commanders Packers, and the game kind of went a bit how I predicted it to in my predictions video. I talked about how I think the Packers, I felt really good about them winning the game. I think their defense is going to play well. Commanders' offense might struggle a bit. That's kind of what happened. The Packers' defense played exceptionally well in this game. The Commanders' offense did not look good. They got one garbage time touchdown late in the game. Uh, Actually, they may have gotten and then I get to see the exact score. I'm trying to remember exactly. They may have gotten two touchdowns in this game. Let me double check. Now this is gonna drive me insane. Let's see. Commanders Packers. Yep. Oh yes, I remember they got a touchdown to Zach Ertz on a cool play design. That made it a close game, and the Packers scored again to pretty much ice it. Then the Commanders got a garbage time touchdown, pretty much. But yeah, the Packers defense played great. The Commanders really did not get too much going on offense. The Packers were dominating the whole game. It was relatively close throughout. The Commanders defense was not playing too well, but I guess they were kind of keeping them in the game. Jordan Love looked great. Tucker Kraft went off in this game. Some concern for the Commanders. Jane Daniels is hurt. He may not play this week. He might. I think he's. It's going to be close to a game time decision, or we'll know maybe like Saturday or something like that if he'll play or not. Thankfully, Mariota is a capable backup for them. He played pretty good when he had to step in for Daniels against the Panthers 2 years ago. And it was the Panthers, but or last year rather, not 2 years ago. That was when the Panthers were really struggling before they got their brew late in the year. But yeah, the Commanders, I thought they might regress offensively a bit this year and just regress in general. Kind of some signs of that in this game, you can argue. Again, you can even argue week one. They only beat the Giants 21-6. Now, I mean, you can say that the Giants offense just went off against the Cowboys. Maybe the Commanders defense played phenomenal that game. But the Giant and division game, they played tight last year, both games. But you can argue that the Commanders should have won that game by more. And now they really did not look too good against the Packers. And again, only 2 games in. I think the Commanders, I have them at 10 wins this season. I think they'll probably get around that. Not too concerned with that yet. But you can argue through 2 games, they're not looking as good as Commanders fans might have hoped. The Packers, on the other hand, look phenomenal. As I mentioned, their defense playing great. Jordan Love looks great. People talking about them. Can they win the NFC? Maybe even win the Super Bowl. Micah Parsons looks good. So yeah, this game not a great showing from the Commanders. They kind of kept it close. Packers look great. I think this is how they're gonna look most of the year. So great performance in the Packers. They look great. Not a great performance from the Commanders in this one. Giants Cowboys. Well, I don't think many people expected this game to be this high scoring. The Giants defense going into the year, we were talking about especially their defensive line with Dexter Lawrence and Jalen Carter. Uh, they Giants defense can be good. Their defensive line alone might keep them in games. Both defenses obviously played abysmal. Just judging from the score in this game, you didn't even see anything. Just look at the score, and it tells you how good the defenses played. Not good at all. Um, I mean, Russell Wilson, he set a career high for passing yards in this game. He looked like prime Seahawks Russell Wilson in like 2007 and like Tom Brady in 2013 Peyton Manning in this game. It was absolutely ridiculous. He was phenomenal this game. I the Giants defense was playing good early. They were up 13-0, and then the Cowboys strung together some offense. The second half, neither team could really get a stop. The Cowboys got like one stop, or they got a couple, but one of them was kind of lucky. Scadaboo dropped a fourth down pass from what I remember, and he was open and would have had the conversion. Giants probably would have scored a touchdown. But Russell Wilson, as I mentioned, played a great game in this one. Had a ridiculous clutch drive late, hit Neighbors, looked like going to be the game winner. There's a 20 seconds left. The Giants are up 3, and then they go into full prevent. Way too conservative. Except the Cowboys got to like the 50 with like 7 seconds left. So you're thinking, all right, they'll probably take, one more shot, try to get like, 10-ish yards at least. Obviously, the more the better. Make it easy for Aubrey to try to tie the game. They ran a draw, and they only got 3 yards out of it. I'm like, wow, that is a bold play call. And Aubrey made the kick. And then he, in overtime, made the kick to win the game. It looked like the Giants were going to win the game. You can say after the Cowboys got the ball in overtime, Giants went down the field a bit, and the Cowboys forced to stop there. Actually, no, the Giants. I think they only got like one first down if I remember in overtime, but because Russ had a fumble that screwed that drive up for them. And then Russell Wilson threw a pick. Dallas had 3 opportunities in overtime to win the game. They did with the third one. Brandon Aubrey field goal to win the game, as I mentioned. He was obviously extremely clutch in this game. I mean, they basically just have to get to the 50-yard line, and let's just say it. They get a touchback, which brings the ball to the 35. The new kickoff rules. They need 15 yards, and they're basically in Brandon Aubrey's field goal range. It's friggin' ridiculous. That's like a dream scenario, for Christ's sake. But yeah, both defenses were awful. I didn't expect the Cowboys defense to be great this year, but I expected it to be better than it has been. And again, we're only 2 games in. And again, the Giants defense sort of the same thing. Not great. Their offense was abysmal week 1. Obviously played phenomenal this game. Really got it going. Cowboys offense has looked a lot better than I thought it would. I expected them to get a decent amount of offense this game, but against the Eagles it looked good too. But so yeah, Cowboys offense looks good. I think Dallas will probably be in contention for a wild card spot, probably around. I had them at only 8-9, but the way they played through 2 weeks, I think they'll probably be like a 10-win team around there. 8, 9, 10, maybe even 11, somewhere around there. The defense is awful, though, going to get better there. Giants, they just got a gauntlet of a schedule. They really needed this game. They couldn't get it. They probably should have had it, especially after that Neighbors touchdown. Complete shootout. Russell Wilson was clutch. Dak was clutch. Brandon Aubrey clutch. Good win for the Cowboys, much needed. Must win sort of for both teams, honestly. And, the Giants should have had it. They didn't. The Cowboys won it. Tough loss to the Giants. Much needed win for the Cowboys here. Seahawks Steelers. Well, I didn't expect the Seahawks to score 31. I certainly knew it was a possibility they would win the game, but I thought it would be a lot more low scoring. The Steelers' defense has not been good 2 weeks of the season. Now, they played a lot better this week than they did the first week. The first week, they were awful. This week, they played a bit better, but, they got some turnovers. But besides the turnovers, the Seahawks, most of the time, were just moving the ball down the field consistently on them. Darnold looked really good in this game. The run game, had some nice bursts from Walker, who again is getting outsnapped by Charbonnet, which is really annoying for my fantasy team that I have Walker on, but that's okay. At least Walker scored a touchdown late. The Steelers' offense, they only scored 17 this game. They didn't play too well, but through 2 weeks of the season, the Steelers' offense has been better than their defense, which has been the complete opposite, for years and years now. You just think of Steelers, you usually think of good defense, going to keep it low scoring most of the time, keep them in games. The offense, mid, kind of up and down. The offense has been better than the defense 2 weeks into the season. I think the Steelers defense will, pick it up as the year goes on. They'll be better. They did not play too good in this game. The Seahawks defense played really well. Aaron Rodgers really struggled against them last year, that Mike Macdonald defense, and he was the Jets, and he very much struggled in this game against them too. Should have had 2 interceptions. One, it bounced, I forget who it was, it bounced right off the hand of one of the Seahawks. Should have had that one. Couldn't corral it in. Seahawks defense, I think, will be really good all year. I think they'll keep them in a lot of games. If the offense can be mid, the Seahawks are going to be a good team this year. They'll be a sleeper team. So the defense is going to be really well coached, play really well most of this year. Big mistake this game was the punt return, or the kick return rather, where Johnson, the rookie, it hit off his hand and he didn't do anything. He just let it go by him into the end zone. The Seahawks got a touchdown. That was pretty much, it was a 10-point game after that touchdown with like 11 minutes left, or 7 minutes, or no, I think it was 11 minutes left, something like that. So, plenty of time, but that just has to be so deflating. The Steelers got they're about to be down 3 with the ball, chance to take the lead late in the fourth quarter, and you're all down 10 all of a sudden. You're just going to go pass heavy. They got a field goal out of it to make it a 7-point game. Then they hit the Seahawks at a third and long, and they blitzed with Darnold, just beat the blitz, and then they got a touchdown. It was third and goal, in Kenneth Walker from like the 19-yard line, I think, got a touchdown off the run. So the Steelers, that was a gut punch, and then that pretty much iced the game. That special teams error just was absolutely, I cannot believe that. That was just awful. That was one of the worst things I've seen in years as far as mistakes. And the rookie, he's Johnson, he's trying to earn snaps. That certainly won't help his case. Mike Tomlin said that he's probably not returning kicks this week. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for him a bit. The amount of shit and the amount of guilt he must be feeling, and the amount of shit he must be getting. But yeah, Seahawks offense looked good. Their defense looked good. Steelers probably should have had this game at home. You can argue they're a bit better than the Seahawks, sort of evenly matched. They should have had this game, honestly. But offense didn't play too good. Defense didn't play too good outside of the turnovers. Steelers were up at the half. Seahawks, a nice comeback win. They were only on 7, but Seahawks, good win for them. The offense looked good. Good looking defense. Good one for the Seahawks. Tough one for the Steelers here. Rams-Titans. This game sort of went a bit how I expected. I sort of expected it to be close, but the Rams got a bit more offense than I was expecting. But I sort of expected the Titans to have some burst of offense, and they did. Not in the second half really, but they were leading at the half. The Titans in the second half, the Rams got a couple touchdowns. The Titans really struggled in the second half, especially offensively. Cam Ward, his first touchdown pass was absolutely insane. The Rams defense has only allowed 1 touchdown the entire year, and it's that. And again, we're only 2 weeks in, but Campbell, he scrambled, looking for someone, just heaved it across his body, and I forget who it was, so made the catch absolutely insane on 3rd and goal. And then Safford threw a pick, so the Titans got a field goal after that. So they were up top. Brian Callahan, again, horrible coach in the second half. I will be shocked if he's not fired, but at the end of the year, not at all a good head coach in my opinion. I don't think, and it's going to hurt Cam Ward because he might as well have fired Callahan after last season, because Cam Ward's going to be going into his second year with a new head coach most likely. After the interceptions, like 10 seconds left, or like the 30, Brian Callahan, you figure maybe they'll take one shot at the end zone, but he doesn't. Conservative there. Second half, the Rams offense got going. Rams defense really, really good this year. Their offense through 2 weeks, and they put up 33 on a good Titans defense, underrated, sneaky Titans defense. Their offense has kind of been a bit slow at times, it's felt like, the first 2 weeks. More so the first week, and again, that was against one of the better defenses in the league, the Texans. So, 2 tough defenses back-to-back weeks, and they play the Eagles this week. So it's going to be 3 for 3 with tough defenses. But, yeah, good gutsy win for the Rams here. Titans offense, signs of improvement from week 1. I have some up and down weeks with Cam Ward in the offense, I'm sure, as the year goes on. But, tough loss to them in this one. Good grinded out win for the Rams. Gutsy win for the Rams in this one. Bills, Jets. I think the score sums this one up pretty well. The Jets looked awful in this game. Their offense looked abysmal. their offense in this game looked like how we expected to for this year, pretty much. Week 1, you can argue, is just a week 1 weird thing, just a fluky. The Steelers defense has been good 2 weeks into the season. The offense did absolutely nothing. Justin Fields got hurt in this game. I think he's a concussion. He's out against the Bucs this week, so Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting. The one touchdown drive they got was with Tyrod Taylor. Their offense very much struggled. Justin Fields had one completion, pretty deep into the game. The Bills offensively were just moving up and down the field. Jets defense held them to a couple field goals, make it relatively close for a while. Then the Bills pulled away. Josh Allen, he busted his nose open on a run in this game. Went right back in there after. Honestly, not too much more to talk about from this game, I think. Just Bills dominated. Jets looked like how we expected them to this season. Just a dominating win for the Bills, and that one is pretty much my key takeaway there. Excuse me here. Yes, my team, the Dolphins. So I actually just uploaded my recap video just talking exclusively about this game. So I won't go too in depth here, but relatively, quick summary here. Obviously, a lot of offense, a shootout in this game, pretty much. Our defense did not look good. It sort of stepped up late. A lot of penalties from both teams. Tackling issues, we need to clean that up along with the penalties. Our offense looked really good in this game. Got the run game going, got the balance out. May looked phenomenal. The line played a lot better. May only had 4 incompletions this game. Finally had a clean pocket, and he was slinging it. 4 incompletions, phenomenal game from May. Had a rushing touchdown too, with 50 rush yards or something like that. What else from this game? The Dolphins offense, you can say, sort of got back on track. Certainly looked a lot more like the Dolphins offense than it did week 1. Tyreek got a deep shot that was extremely lucky, I think. I don't know how we didn't bat that pass down. Tua underthrew it, per usual. A deep shot, and Hill bailed him out. A lot of checkdowns to A-Chain. We could not tackle A-Chain for the life of us. Jakeem Grant, that touchdown return off the punt, I nearly smashed my head through the wall watching that. Then Gibson returned the favor back the next play, the 90-yard kickoff return, touchdown. Borregales missed 2 extra points, but made the 50-plus yarder, put us up 6. Tua turned it over, turned back into Tua, turned the ball over on 4th down, 2 minutes left. That led to the Borregales field goal, and then Milton Williams got the 4th down sack to ice the game for us. Dolphins, oh boy. We knew they were a mess. Now, at face value, you just say, even as a Patriots fan, well, certainly there's some things we need to improve on. Penalties, tackling, defense need to be a lot better. Our defense has not been too good 2 weeks into the season. We thought that would be a top unit this year, so we need that to get better. Still can be, only 2 weeks into the year, but we need that to get better. But at face value, you say, well, they barely beat the Dolphins, who are borderline able to blow up the team. They're disasters here by 6 points. They barely held on to win. And, the counter to that is division game. Those are always tough. Week-to-week league, the Dolphins, they looked abysmal week 1, but the next week's a new week. We always struggle against the Dolphins, specifically in Miami. Tua, prior to this game, was undefeated against us when he started against us. You can factor in those things. We need Gonzo back. Thankfully, he's practicing. Hopefully, he can play this week against the Steelers. That'd be a big boost for us. But I talked more in depth about this game on my other videos. Check that out if you're interested. But very happy we got the win in this one. Much needed win. Did not want to start at 0-2. So, Dolphins, on the other hand, just a disaster. They're going to be a complete mess. Good, decent chance that they lose to the Bills tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if they just blow things up after that. Jags Bengals. This was a shootout. Joe Burrow, he went down relatively early in this game. He's out at least 3 months. That's an absolute killer to the Bengals. Now, everyone just obviously after that writing their season off. I don't think obviously win the Super Bowl they'll Burrow, but I'm kind of root for the Bengals because I'm a Joe Burrow fan. I'm not optimistic, but I think Jake Browning, he's actually a solid backup. He did pretty good in 23 when Burrow went down. He I think he can keep them relatively afloat, floating around 500 for the playoffs. And hopefully when Burrow gets down or rather gets back, hopefully, he can come back around December, the last couple weeks of the regular season. Hopefully, the Bengals are in contention for a playoff spot. Hopefully, Burrow can come back, get them in. Then, we'll see what happens from there. That's kind of the most optimistic scenario. If you're a Bengals fan, pulling for the Bengals. But Jake Browning is decent. Obviously he's not nearly as good as Joe Burrow, but he's decent enough to, I think run a competent offense, probably score around 20 something a game, especially with the weapons he has, mid 20s, something like that. This game, he threw a couple really bad picks, but, now that he is a full week, he's going to be getting practice with the ones, getting starter reps, full week of preparation for him. I'm sure he'll clean up those mistakes. We saw in 23 when he had to go in the middle of the game against Baltimore when Burrow got hurt, he was awful. And then after that, when he had a full week to prepare, he was solid most of the time. He beat the Jags too that year, and he beat them again here. The Jags defense, they gave up 31 this game. The Jags defense has impressed me 2 weeks into the season so far. They played pretty solid, even though they gave up 31, I think. Well, I know they have 31. I meant that I think they're playing pretty solid. The Jags offenses look pretty good 2 weeks into the year. Now, there's a lot of talk about Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence in an exchange where Lawrence placed a ball where Liam Cohen didn't want, and Liam Cohen's kind of telling Lawrence through body language and lip movement to put it on the guy's chest. More on the inside, and Lawrence just brushed him off. A lot of talk about that. There's a sequence late in the game where the Jags picked Browning off and said, "Yep, well, that's probably it." It didn't look like, oh God, who made the pick? Was it? I think it was Lloyd. I want to say. It looked like he wasn't down, and probably should have been a pick six, which, that's the second time that's happened against the Jags, where. Because my team, the Patriots, when we played them in the 2017 AFC Championship game, the 2017 season, it was technically 2018 when the game happened that January. Miles Jack, a lot of people saying Miles Jack wasn't down in the trick play that he ripped the ball out of James White's hands, so he should have had a return there. So we probably caught a break there. So the second time the Jaguars, you can say someone wasn't down and they should have had a touchdown off of it. But it's 4th and 5, and really aggressive play call by Liam Cohen to go for it. Didn't work out, obviously, so it's easy to criticize, especially since they lost the game. But in that situation, you have to just kick the field goal to go up 6 and just trust your defense there. But it didn't work out. Jake Browning let it drive down the field, get the Bengals the win. And yeah, as I mentioned, he had some good in this game. He had some nice passes. They put up 31. I think the Bengals, when Burrow went down, they only had 14 points, I want to say. So maybe even a bit less than that. So, Browning played pretty solid for the most part. Obviously, those picks, he had a couple bad ones, I keep mentioning. Jags, killer loss to them. They'll be a bit of a sleeper team this year. They can continue to play like this. Bengals, obviously, every win counts, for every team, especially now. They really need to stack the wins together and just hope Burrow can come back and they can contend for a playoff spot. Their defense has not played well 2 weeks into the season, even against the Browns, and they only allowed 16. The Browns threw the ball on them a lot better than the score indicated. They missed 4 points worth of kicks. And then this game, they didn't play too well either. They got, a couple clutch stops late. Excuse me here. But they're playing better than last season, I think, at least for the most part. And only 2 weeks in, so they catch a break this week. They get to play the Vikings and the depleted offensive line with Carson Wentz starting. So maybe they get a bit of a break there. But yeah, tough loss to the Jags in this one. Nice come from behind win from the Bengals after Burrow went down here. Niners Saints. Well, I think, pretty much everyone expected the Niners to win this game, but this game was close. Mac Jones looked really good. My old guy from the Patriots, he looked really good. Kyle Shanahan finally got his guy he reportedly wanted from the 21 draft. He looked really good. Going to be really solid backup for them. Purdy might be back this week. Shanahan said, even though originally the original prognosis and reports were saying I think 2 to 5 weeks or something like that. But Mac Jones looked really good in this game. Started out 0 for 4 and was like, oh boy. Then he played really well after that. Niners offense played pretty good. The Saints, I mean, they're, again, only 2 weeks into the season, but they have played, and they've lost both games, but they've been right there in both of them. The Cardinals game, they're thrown in the end zone with a couple seconds left to, go down 1, maybe kick the extra point tie or go for 2 to win the game. And then this game, they had 2 separate drives at the end of the game where they could have taken the lead late and potentially won the game. The Niners defense stepped up to win the game. Niners defense has looked really good 2 weeks into the season. I mean, the Saints put up more points than the Seahawks did. And the Seahawks were gifted opportunity after opportunity with the amount of mistakes the Niners made in that game with the blocked field goal and then the missed kick and then, the Purdy interceptions. They put up more points than the Seahawks did. And, Rattlers looked better than I think most people have expected him to. If the Saints defense actually been sort of a bit underrated 2 weeks into the season. If the Saints offense can somehow keep this up for the whole year, they'll be a bad team, but they could sneak off a couple surprising wins potentially. But the Niners defense looked really good. One of the touchdowns was just a ridiculous catch by Jawan Johnson. The Saints, they're scoring late. It feels like, when they really need to press the gas pedal, they're scoring. They got to score earlier than that, or what some Saints fans are saying. Niners, a bunch of injuries, but, it's the Saints, even though I'm kind of praising them a bit here, despite losing the game, they really should have won this game, so you can argue it shouldn't have been this close. But again, the Saints, bad team, but they're, at least expected to be a bad team. But early on, any team is dangerous. Niners with a bunch of injuries. So, decent win for them. Nice grinding out win for them. First time they're 2-0 since 21, so that's good for them. Nice grinding out win for them. A good game against the Cardinals, and then this week, big game against them. Saints got a really tough one against the Seahawks. That'll be a really rough outing for them, I think. Spoiler alert for my picks. But yeah, this was a pretty under-the-radar, entertaining game here. Good win for the Niners. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a sip of water here. Okay. Okay. Browns Ravens. Well, I successfully predicted the Browns to score 17. It was kind of close for a while. The Browns defense keeping it close. The Ravens had a bad goal line sequence where they had a 1st and goal at the 1, then they had to settle for a field goal on 4th and goal. They got backed up from a penalty and a sack Lamar took. Browns defense kept it close for a while, and then the Ravens poured it on late to really open the doors up. It was 41-10, and the Browns with Dylan Gabriel in the game very late in garbage time got a touchdown. The Browns, their only other touchdown came off another deflection on I'm pretty sure it was 4th down. I forget who the DB was, but they deflected it, and then Cedric Tillman caught it for a touchdown. And at that point, it was 20-10 after that. And, I think it was the middle of the 3rd quarter, so there was still plenty of time left. And, if you remember last week, a big igniter for the Bills' comeback was a tip pass on 4th down that got caught for a touchdown. So 2 weeks in a row, tip passes get caught for a touchdown against the Ravens. So some bad luck there for them. And then it was 3rd and 13, and they nearly got Lamar, and he got a pass off to Zay Flowers. And I'm like, all right, well, and I'm pretty sure they scored a touchdown there to get the momentum back. So, big sequence there. Otherwise, the Browns would have had a lot of momentum at that point, you can say. And, the Ravens, the amount of blown leads they had, it would have been like, uh-oh. But, yeah, their offense clicked in gear late. Derrick Henry didn't do too much this game. They still put up 41. I think he only had 20-something rush yard, 22 or something like that. Brown's offense did not look very good. Again, one of the touchdowns I think was pretty lucky. Then the other one was in garbage time. Um, but yeah, the score can be a bit misleading because it was close for most of the game, and the Ravens opened it up late. But Browns kind of looked like how we expected them to this year. I think in this game, defense can keep them in some games. The offense, I think, is going to be pretty rough. Good bounce back win for the Ravens, though, after that disastrous collapse against the Bills week 1. Oh, speaking of disaster, this was a complete disaster for the Bears. I sort of felt confident the Lions going to win this game comfortably, but in no world did I expect them to put up 52. Now, I had concerns that, like most people, and well, maybe not most, but many people, that the Lions offense, I think, is really going to miss Ben Johnson. They're going to be, up and down this season to kind of maybe find their footing as the year goes on. We saw that week 1. They did not look good against the Packers at all. And, they got one touchdown, which was an insane catch by their rookie receiver, who had another insane catch in this game at the end of the first half there. But maybe it's just how good the Packers defense was, because the Lions offense in this game, obviously they put up 52. They were moving the ball up and down the field. The Bears defense got like 2 stops this whole game, if I remember right off the top of my head. The Lions could not be stopped. They scored almost every possession, besides like those 2 I mentioned. They're getting touchdowns left and right. They got a couple field goals from what I remember. They could not be stopped. They didn't miss Ben Johnson this game. Ben Johnson might have missed them with how awful his team played. And it's insane and crazy to just see how much can change within 1 week of the NFL. Week 1 through 3 quarters, it's like, here come the Bears this season. This defense looks phenomenal. The offense, it had its bright spots in that game. And then since the 4th quarter, after that game, it's like, oh my God, like, that the Bears really should have had this game. Like, this is going to kill them the rest of the year. And then this game happened. Now everyone's down on the Bears. Jalen Johnson's hurt. It's just crazy to see how quickly things can sort of spiral out of control. Not that the Bears season's over or anything like that, but obviously they've been in the wrong direction since the 4th quarter of that Monday night game against the Vikings, week 1. And then we just saw how awful the offense looked against the Falcons too. So that might even hurt the Bears more. The Bears defense, obviously, this was a disaster for them. Thought the Bears defense could be really solid this year, and it was through 3 quarters. The first game, but now it's been a disaster since then. It was 7-7, and it was sort of a game for, I would say, up until halftime, and then after that you kind of just feel, especially when the Lions got that touchdown at the end of the half, which was an insane sequence with the rookie receiver made the catch, and then Tesla, I want to say something like that, like I don't know, I forget. Okay, now I gotta look it up. Now this is driving me insane. Let's see. Yeah, Tesla, that's how he pronounces it. Both his career catch has been absolutely insane. So, this clock, it looks like it was going to run off. Then they put time back on the clock there. And then, Amon-Ra gets a touchdown. So that really hurt the Bears there. But, good opening script we've seen 2 weeks in for the Bears. And then after that, it's kind of a struggle for them. Yeah, I mean, obviously still plenty of time left for the Bears to figure it out this season, but disaster for them. Lions have a big game against the Ravens. Great comeback, or not comeback, bounce back win rather for them after a not so great showing against the Packers week 1. Bears, as I mentioned, heading in the wrong direction since that Vikings game in the 4th quarter. Broncos Colts, this was a really good game, really back and forth game. Both defenses did not play good at all in this game. They were just both offenses were just going up and down the field at will for the most part. The Colts have still not punted 2 weeks into the season, so that's absolutely insane. Daniel Jones looks like Peyton Manning. Absolutely insane. Indiana Jones is his nickname among the Colts fans. Bo Nix played a lot better in this game, but had a bad interception. actually, another good point. One of the guys on YouTube I watched, the Goat House, mentioned how when Bo Nix has a tendency to roll out to the right a lot, and he really limits the window to throw. It hurts them sometimes. That's actually another good point he mentioned. I really like that point, and I agree with it. I've noticed that since he said that. Thought about it a bit more. I'm like, yeah, that is true. So yeah, killer interception for Bo Nix, and they were up couple points late, like 7 minutes left. Could get a touchdown to go up 2 scores, and Nix threw a pick to Cam Bynum, and then the Broncos defense after that got a stop though, or at least I think they held them to a field goal. Then the Broncos, um, another good drive down the field got ended by a holding call. A couple plays later, they're attempting the field goal and they miss it. I'm like, yo, the Colts are going to win the game now. And then the Colts did not play the last possession very well. I mean, they're settling for a 60-yard field goal with their rookie kicker, who's been great, but they ran it on third and long, in I think it was third and long, and well, at that point, the time mattered more than the down, but they ran it instead of throwing it. I mean, why don't you just throw it and try to get some yards for your kicker? And if it's an incomplete pass, well, I'd rather say at least I attempted to make it easier for my kicker instead of settling for a 60-yarder with no time left. Even if, it's incomplete, at least you can say you tried. There would have been I think probably after they attempted the kick, or maybe they would have punted there with, a decent amount of time left. Well, not a decent amount of time left, but a decent amount of time left where if they missed the kick, the Broncos could have gotten to field goal range, had a couple shots at it. So maybe they would have punted there. Maybe that's why Shane Steichen just ran the ball. But, I would have just thrown it. At least I can say I attempted to make it easier for my rookie kicker, even if I left some time on the clock. The risk and reward there, I think, would have favored that situation. But they ran it, attempted a 60-yarder, and he missed the kick. And then the Colts got bailed out. I mean, it was the correct call, but they got so bailed out with that penalty on the Broncos. And then, they made the kick to win the game. Maybe some Bills fans are smiling addicts. The Broncos got a bit bailed out in 23 on Monday Night Football. They missed the kick to win the game, but there was a penalty on the Bills, and then they got it after that. Some Bills fans smiling ear to ear at that if they remember that one probably. But yeah, really good win for the Colts in this game. Their offense is unstoppable. Denver's defense did not play very good. I mean, neither defense really played that great in this game. It was, borderline a shootout. Both offenses look good. Yeah, the Colts obviously the Colts, everyone's very impressed with them. Some people saying they're like the Saints from last year, where their offense was unstoppable. They won both games. I don't think they're going to collapse as much as the Saints, especially because the Saints had a bunch of injuries. I think the Colts will be, at worst decent this year. I only had them, I think, at 7 wins, but I was very uneasy on that prediction. I was like, I really could see them winning, I think around 9 or 10 games if things really click. That looks like the direction that it's heading so far. No, I don't think, they're going to be able to, score every possession and not punt every game. I don't think that's sustainable, obviously. But I think they can score in the mid-20s every game. That's sustainable, I think. Not every game, but most games, I think. Denver, not too concerned. I think they'll be fine. They'll bounce back. They'll be a good team this year, I think. Tough loss to them. Good win for the Colts. Entertaining game there. Panthers Cardinals. Now the score might be a bit misleading, but the Cardinals completely dominated this game. They were up big most of it, and then they nearly collapsed in the fourth quarter. The Panthers, when they were down 24, is when things really started to click. They scored and get the two, but then they scored 2 touchdowns after that. Kyler had a bad pick. The Cardinals nearly blew a 27-3 lead. That's what it was. It was 27-9 with 5.5 minutes left. I'm pretty sure something like that. And then the Panthers got an onside, and they were driving down the field to win the game for a chance to win the game at the end, and they got bailed out with multiple penalties on the Cardinals. The Cardinals, it felt like they were about to win the game. They did win the game at one point. They had a sack on fourth down. They had the game won, and there was a penalty on them. And there was another PI calling them. I mean, I'm like, Jesus, why don't they just let them in the end zone at this point? This is freaking ridiculous. And then, a grounding call killed the Panthers, and the Cardinals were able to hang on. But I mean, that is the Cardinals really needed to keep their foot on the gas and just not let up like they did. This was nearly a catastrophic loss had they have lost this. Not that it would have derailed their season, but that I mean, when you're up 24 points in the middle near the end of the third quarter, and then up 27-9 with 5.5 minutes left, you really, of course, need to win that game. And they nearly didn't. They did, but they nearly didn't. Um, Bryce Young and the offense looked awful through most of the game, but then once they got that touchdown drive to let it to be 27-9, they looked really good from that point. Uh, but honestly, I think they just found a momentum wave and rode it. Their offense, you imagine, has to click at some point. Maybe they found their groove there, but when they started putting up points in this game, but I mean, how long does Dave Canales have? They've looked awful through 2 weeks. Again, nearly came back in this one, but they looked awful for most of this game. Um, so yeah, tough loss for the Panthers, even though they almost came back. Cardinals, you can argue they're sort of lucky to hang on. Took their foot off the gas, nearly, got screwed over by it. But they really cannot afford to make get a big lead and almost blow it every week like this moving forward if they want to be where they want to be. So, a win's a win, but Cardinals gonna get a lot sharper there. Eagles Chiefs. Okay, so I kind of expected both offenses to have a lot more success in this game than they did. Both defenses played really well. The Eagles offense did not really, well, neither offense did, but the Eagles offense, a lot of conversation in the media after this game. Hurts, I saw said, has like 2 pass attempts or maybe completions beyond 10 yards this season, which is tied with Tyrod Taylor, who came into the game just this week against the Bills after Fields got hurt. So they're off, an Eagles fan shitting on their new play caller, saying he's the new Brian Johnson. So from 2 years ago. So yeah, their offense did not look really good. Their defense played good. The Chiefs' offense was a mess most of this game. They were at 10 points, and then they were about to take the lead, and Kelsey has a pass bounce off his hands that led to a pick six. Mahomes missed Tyquan Thornton late, but then he hit him a couple plays later, so that kind of negated that a bit. The Eagles ended up chewing the clock out, winning the game. They had the tush push like 7 times. I saw they ran like 11% of their plays or something like that, which is crazy. I think the tush push is for sure getting banned after the season. It fell a couple votes short this past off season, and now there's all this talk about the Eagles false started. Now people are talking about how the play shouldn't even be legal. It's an illegal formation. They're getting a false start, things like that. In all this conversation, people were sick of it. The officials are sick of it. Dean Blandino, in the when they're reviewing it, he went on there and said, "I'm sick of talking about this." Pretty much something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing a bit. I would be shocked if the tush push does not get banned after this season. But the Eagles, I'm sure, are just going to run the shit out of it this season while they still can. A lot of panic about it. The Chiefs? Is the dynasty over? No, I mean, I hate I hope it is. I hate the Chiefs. I'm gonna root for them to lose every week, but I'm gonna pump the brakes there a bit. I mean, I think I would be shell shocked if they lose to the Giants this week. Sorry, Dylan. I think the Chiefs will be fine. I will say, I really am starting to doubt they're gonna win the division now. I, I think they'll make the playoffs. I honestly think they'll only be like maybe a 10 or 11 win team, you can argue. I'm starting to doubt they're going to win the division, though. The Chargers look really good, and then honestly, I think the Raiders look better. I don't think the Raiders are better than the Chiefs. They look better than the Chiefs 2 weeks into the season, and then the Broncos really should be 2-0. They didn't screw themselves on the penalty at the end of the game there with that field goal attempt. See, I'm going to pump the brakes here. I think the Chiefs will make the playoffs, but I I absolutely do not think they'll be even in the Super Bowl this year. Now I say that and they'll probably win the thing, knowing them. Um, but they're also missing Rice and Worthy. When they come back, that's obviously a boost to the offense. You know, and speaking of that, so obviously I said I hate the fucking Chiefs. If you watch any of my videos, I mention that all the time. Hate Mahomes. Think he's the most overrated player in sports history. And Travis Kelce, some other players coming on the field with a shirt that says "Free Rashee Rice" or "Free Four." Uh, like, bruh, like I understand he's your teammate. The man committed a felony and then he fled the scene. Like, bruh, like what? I just this team. I call them the obnoxious City Chiefs for a reason. It just boggles my mind. Um, Kelce's played absolutely abysmal 2 weeks into the season. I mean, week one he injured Worthy. Then week two he caused the pick that changed the whole momentum of the game. I mean, he's played better for the other team than he has his own team. And then the touchdown he got week one was just off of blown coverage. But yeah, Eagles offense not too good in this game. But they got the job done. Defense played well for the most part. Again, the Chiefs, I think people need to. I think everyone's just so excited they're 0-2, and I am too, that they're getting ahead of themselves. I think, unfortunately, the Chiefs, will make the playoffs this season still. In the offense, we had a boost when Rice and Worthy are back, but I kind of predicted this. I said that the Chiefs are going to regress a bit this year. I had them at 12-5. I don't think they'll get 12 wins, but who knows? But I figured that their offense, well, actually, their offense kind of looks like it did last season. The only difference is they're not winning the close games like they did last season. Which I sort of predicted. I predicted them to lose close games, to not have as many lucky plays, and the refs to hand them half the games, every controversial call. You can even argue that the Eagles got some controversial calls. Like I mentioned, the false start with the tush push, the Eagles, and that was on a 4th and goal, too, after that pick. So they stopped them there. It's a 3-point game. If they call that, the Eagles would have probably kicked the field goal to have gone up 6. So, touchdown and an extra point take the lead for the Chiefs. Butker missed a kick. So the Chiefs, you can argue, are having some bad luck against them, which is fitting, considering the fact I think they had the single luckiest season in the history of sports last season. So I kind of predicted that to happen a bit. So it's very satisfying to see my prediction come true so far, at least only 2 weeks into the season. But anyway, yeah, just very happy that the Chiefs and their offense is finally. I mean, everyone's talked about how mid it's been for like 3 seasons now. The only way they really score is just because the defense keeps it close and they're just able to methodically work up the field. That's the only reason they've been able to win most of their games the past couple seasons. Now that the defense isn't playing as well, even though it did this game, their offense and the fact that they're simply losing it's getting more focus points. So good to see their offense and Mid Holmes, as I call him, getting exposed. But they also have no run game. Their run game is god awful. Pacheco, since he broke his ankle, I think that's what he broke against the Bengals last season, has not looked the same since he's came back. I mean, Mahomes is their leading rusher. He's been rushing the ball well this season. As much as I hate Mahomes, I will say he is a good runner of the football. But yeah, not a pretty win, but good win for the Eagles in this one. Chiefs, tough one here, even though I was very happy they lost. Sunday Night Football. Now, I'm not shell-shocked at the pure result of this game that the Falcons won, but I am shocked at the score. The Vikings defense played pretty well. They only allowed 1 touchdown in this game, and they pretty much literally just allowed the Vikings to score to make it a 16-point game with some time left. Instead of just playing for trying to stop them, get a field goal lead. Basically, no time for your offense to win the game. But yeah, sorry, I'm blanking here. I'm just getting a text I'm reading. The Vikings offense was a disaster. JJ McCarthy looked absolutely awful in this game. He's looked awful in 7 of the 8 quarters he's played. I mean, he looked great against the Bears in the 4th quarter, but then we just saw what happened to the Bears defense against the Lions, how awful they looked. Now, people are saying, get JJ McCarthy done. Like, they don't want him on the team anymore, Vikings fans. Now, they basically fully committed to him, so they got to stick them at this point. I'm not ready to, give up on his career or anything like that, especially, with Kevin O'Connell. He's basically a rookie, only 2 games in, but he has certainly not played well, and there certainly is some signs for concern there. But I can't imagine he plays this bad the whole season. I'm sure Kevin O'Connell and the offense and JJ McCarthy will figure it out. They'll be able to, at least look like a shell of the offense that they did last season with Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold was the start of this game, I think they would have won. I mean, part of the reason the Falcons kept scoring is because the Vikings just kept giving them good field position from turn the ball over and sacks, things like that. But yeah, JJ McCarthy, has looked awful through 2 games, with the exception of that fourth quarter against the Bears. But the Vikings can't give up on him yet. Just 2 games into basically his career, basically a rookie. Obviously, he was injured his whole rookie season. But the allegations that he just handed the ball off at Michigan and got carried. These 2 games certainly have not helped that case. Fighting against it rather. And now J.J. McCarthy's injured. He's going to miss a few weeks. Well, their offensive line's also a mess. They get a bunch of injuries, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking with the Bengals. But, their Carson Wentz is going to start. Now, is Carson Wentz going to look like the Eagles' Carson Wentz, like 2017 Wentz? I don't think so. Is he going to be, as bad as he was in that 1 game against the Chiefs last year, or for the Chiefs last year, and, that the prior year against the he played for the Rams. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I think he'll be, a bit better than he was the past 2 games you've seen him. But I certainly do not think he's going to be lighting it up or whatever. But the Falcons could be a sneaky team. Their defense played great in this game. They, you can argue they should have won week 1, too, although I do think the Bucs deserved that game. I think the Bucs outplayed them. Penix and company, I like the offense. Bijan's a complete animal so far. He's, getting an explosive play left and right, it feels like. What else from this game? Yeah, the offense looks good. Penix looks good. Defense played phenomenal. Falcons could be a bit of a sleeper team. Good win for them. Vikings, bunch of injuries. The line, offense is a mess. McCarthy, a lot of questions there. Tough loss to them in this one, but good win for the Falcons. Monday night games. The first game, Bucs-Texans. Really exciting game in this one. I thought the Texans' offense was going to bounce back in this one. And, it looked like the first couple of drives, it looked like for sure that's how the game was going. They went right down the field and scored a touchdown. So did the Bucs. Then they got a field goal after that, and the Bucs got a touchdown after that. And then from there was very minimal scoring. Both defenses, it looked like it was going to be a complete shootout. Then both defenses stepped up. The Bucs offensive line is injured beyond belief. They're going to be missing 3 starters to this coming game, which is absolutely insane. So the Texans were blitzing a lot, getting pressure on Mayfield, getting them down. Bucs really stalled out because of that, in a large part to that. Texans offense stalled out a lot, had a really bad sequence where they were at the 1. They couldn't score in 3 plays, turned it over on 4th and goal. And the 4th and goal throw by Stroud, which is no chance whatsoever they were getting that. He basically threw it away, it looked like. Pass was way too high. But late in the game, Nick Chubb, off a good punt return, he ripped a good run off for a touchdown. Texans didn't get the 2. And then Baker, despite the offense stalling out in the second half, down 3 offensive linemen, the line is injured beyond belief. Baker, yet again, a clutch drive gets them a touchdown with a couple seconds left. Rachaad White. There was a 4th and 10 where the Texans, they sent pressure, and it looked Mayfield was engulfed with multiple Texans. I don't know how the hell he got out of the play without being sacked. And he ran for a first down. Had a play earlier where he got a first down running, and it looked like he really hurt his knee. He immediately grabbed his knee. Then C.J. Gardner-Johnson was talking shit, and Baker caught up and was fine, talked shit back. Yeah, exceedingly clutch drive by Baker. People were talking about, he needs to be in the MVP conversation. Baker's a fun guy to root for. I kind of pull for the Bucs too. They were kind of like my one of my favorite teams. I guess one of my second favorite team. A team I kind of pulled for. Obviously, Patriots are obviously my number one. And then Brady went there, and so then they kind of by default became my second favorite team as a diehard Tom Brady fan. So I still kind of root for them. They're a fun team to watch. Um, but yeah, this is a killer one for the Texans. They're 0-2. They really needed this game. Their defense has played really well 2 weeks into the season. Their offense just not been good at all. Certainly a carryover from last season when we saw most of the year. Yeah, killer loss to the Texans. Great win for the Bucs, 2-0 for the fourth straight year under Todd Bowles. That's very impressive there. But yeah, tough loss to the Texans. Great come from behind win for the Bucs in this one. Chargers Raiders. This game also kind of went a bit how I expected. I expected the Chargers to kind of get out to an early lead, not light it up. I think I had the final score 27-20. So Chargers getting a bit less offense than I thought. The Raiders too. They'll get the Raiders would kind of be struggling offensively, get a touchdown late to make it interesting if the Chargers would hold on. Sort of almost what happened. The Raiders struggled the whole game offensively. As I mentioned earlier, Geno Smith looked awful in this game. He had 3 picks, I think. He should have had more than that. Should have had like 5. The first play of the game was picked. He threw it into double coverage multiple times. Nearly more than 3 interceptions. Chargers defense played absolutely insane this game, out of their minds. Jesse Minter, I am a bit surprised he at least didn't get interviews at the end of last season. I didn't expect him to get a head coaching job, only 1 year in the league, but I expected maybe at least some interviews. I don't think he did from what I'm remembering. He'll certainly be getting interviews after this season, and there's a very good chance he'll be a head coach. I mean, the job he's done with this defense, last season they were the top scoring defense. This season they've allowed what they allow 20 to the Chiefs, 21. I think 21 to the Chiefs. So they've allowed 30 points through 2 games, so 15 a game. So obviously that's pretty good. Excuse me here. That's less than they were allowing last season. I want to say last season was like 17. Now obviously only 2 games in, but it's extremely well coached. It's a very, very well coached, well executed defense. The offense, didn't do too much. I mean, the Raiders were just kind of hanging around in this game, mainly thanks to their defense, even though the Chargers were thoroughly outplaying them. You could argue the Chargers should have won by more. But they didn't. Division game, Raiders can be a bit sneaky this year, can be, especially early on, they'll be tough, I think. Another road game for the Chargers after, being in Brazil week 1, that so the league didn't do them a favor there. So, you can say that the way the game played out, the Chargers should have won by more, but I'm not too concerned there. I do pull for the Chargers too. I always liked Herbert. I kind of pulled for the Chargers. Then I really like Jim Harbaugh. I'm a Michigan fan, so I like Jim Harbaugh. Love Jesse Minter, obviously. He did great at Michigan as well. But yeah, the one thing that is concerning is that the Chargers. Greg Roman want to be a run heavy team, run first team. They really have struggled to get the run going through 2 weeks into the season now. Passing, they look phenomenal. Herbert looks phenomenal. But they've kind of struggled to get the run game going up front. So they got to figure that out. I'm sure they will. Probably as the season goes on, they'll figure it out a bit better. Jeanty, some talk about him. He hasn't really done too much 2 weeks into the season. Patriots, he didn't really do too much against us. Then this game, he didn't really do a lot either. And then, Geno played awful this game. The offense just struggled, but still, they only lost by 9. Had a chance late to make it interesting twice, actually, and they couldn't. Close, probably closer than the game should have been. The Chargers outplayed them by more than this score indicates. But good road win for the Chargers. If they're able to beat the Broncos in this game, or in this week, they play the Giants week 4, which you imagine they should win that game. So look out for the Chargers to get really hot to start the season. Really, get a good grip on the AFC West there. So yeah, good win for them. Certainly some things to clean up, but good win for them. Raiders, I think they'll, I think that, compared to last week and this week, that's kind of how they'll look most of the year. They'll look good 1 week, not so good the next week, some in between. I think they'll be like a 6-7 win team this year. Maybe 8 if things really, go well for them. Maybe you can argue if things really click 9 or somehow even 10, but I think they'll probably be like a 6 or I think I predicted 6, but honestly 7 I kind of feel a bit more likely on. Certainly some things to clean up. Defense playing better than expected. Patrick Graham-Merlander, defensive coordinator, defensive coach. But Gino and the offense going to get some things cleaned up there. But good win for the Chargers in that one. Okay, so that is all of the games here. So yeah, pretty good week. Made the most money I made betting wise, a couple $100 this week. So pretty good betting week for me. Won 4 of my 5 fantasy games, and of course the one I lose, I outscore everyone in the league except my opponent. It's a 12-man league, and I'm like the 5th highest score, and I'm 0-2, so that's awesome. Yeah, pretty good week. A lot of good games, close games in this one. So yeah, good week. I'm gonna get this uploaded. Hopefully a bit later. I'm gonna have my week 3 picks video ready, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you did good picks fantasy wise. Your team did good, unless I'm rooting against you like the Chiefs. No offense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for tuning in, and take it easy, guys.